the sun would come out like this. And, you know, you're wet all the time. And then the other 6 months, and then it would start raining again now on that 11th day, and rain for 10 days. It would stop once, you know. And the other part of the 6 months, or 7 months, was heat like this. It was 131 degrees when I left here. So when you first get there, you get headaches because your blood is not thinned out yet. You get headaches from the heat. You know, walking into 130 degrees from a nice temperature that you're used to in the United States. And like I said, I went over in June, came back in July. It was a rude awakening. It took about 2 weeks for your body to adjust, where you just felt, you know, didn't feel miserable, tired, just sick from the heat. So it was not a pleasant experience, but you just got used to it.
That was a long 2 weeks.
Nope. Yeah. I mean, you weren't feeling good. You couldn't eat. You didn't want to eat. You didn't have enough water. Everybody basically got malaria from drinking crummy water. You know, that bad stuff for your body. But you look at some of the other wars. Korea was a horrible, the cold. I had one patient at the VA hospital for a thing that I was involved with who lost both legs due to frostbite because they didn't have the proper dress, didn't have the proper boots for Korea's miserable winters. We had nylon fatigues in Vietnam that were good because you were wet all the time from either the perspiration or the rain. So it would dry out in the air better than not, better than, you know, anything else. And your regular uniforms were khaki, but they were cloth, you know, thick cloth. You couldn't wear that like this; it'd be too heavy. Another crazy thing was that, and this might startle you, but we didn't wear any underwear in Vietnam.
I didn't know that.
Extra weight from the being wet. And how do you keep them clean? You just wore a shirt and pants, and that was it. The other thing is, people question feet. Get what's called immersion feet, where your feet get soft and develop blisters. That's the worst thing that can happen to a soldier. Your feet you hurt your feet because you can't do anything without your feet being good. So we always carried extra socks. Where would you carry socks to keep them dry? Extra pair of socks in your helmet, because the heat from your head would dry if you washed them out, put them in your helmet, the heat from your head would dry the socks and keep them dry. So you always had a dry pair of socks, typically to change into if your feet got wet or you walked through a stream, your feet got wet. So your feet were very, very important. If you scratched yourself, I scratched myself one time, I guess it was this wrist here. I just got a little scratch from running into a bush. And that thing became that big in a couple of weeks because it wouldn't dry out. The scab wouldn't dry out. So I just had to live with that. Hopefully it didn't get infected. So I always was watching that or covering it with Band-Aids or something. Because once you get sick in the field, you have to go to the rear. You're no good in the field if you're sick. You know? Little things like that people don't think about. But you have to be very, very careful about hurting yourself in any way, shape, or form and not be able to function. Any more questions?
I have a question about your. Oh, no, you go first.
I was just thinking.
Are you a teacher?
No, I'm his mom.
Okay.
Was there anything that, like, when you came back home, that you realized, like, oh wow, I really missed this while you were away?
At first, I felt that way because you get tight when you're living with guys, you know, shoulder to shoulder. We used to call it A's and elbows. I won't mention the A's, but AH's and elbows. You get so tight with these guys. I mean, you don't trust anybody when you're not around these guys that you develop these friendships and relationships with. So when I first got back home, I felt weird. The first couple of days, my parents had a big party for me. You know, my relatives, friends. You know, it was the worst thing that could have happened because I couldn't even talk, much less to go to a party. I wasn't used to being around these people and being in a safe zone. So the first couple of weeks, it was really hard. I had a 30-day leave, and then I went to Quantico and spent my last 3 months at Quantico before I got discharged. But I mean, it was a weird thing. You go from 24 hours in a combat zone to 48 hours later, you're in a free open zone where you don't have to be afraid of anything, supposedly. It was just a rude awakening, and I thought when I got home that I'd rather be back in the jungle where I felt safe with my guys. Because we didn't go over in units, we went over as individuals. Initially they went over in units, so the whole units were together. But when I went over, they just needed bodies, and we just went over it, and then you got split up and sent to different units. So the guys I trained with at boot camp and Camp Lejeune and language school, they were all over the place, and we all got separated. But, you know, it doesn't take but a couple of days to get tight with somebody, and the guys that I was with, I knew their brothers, their sisters, their mothers, their fathers, their girlfriends, their wives. You know, you get to know intimate things about these people that you're with, just because you have nothing else to talk about. You want to talk about your family. That's what you really want to talk about, your loved ones. And so that's what you shared when we had free time, if we ever had free time, downtime, if you will. So, like I said, the younger people today, I wish they could understand what they're maybe missing by not serving, even 2 years, 3 years maybe. You get out of high school, you don't know what you want to do, you're floundering around, your parents don't know what to do with you, right? Going into the service might be a good option. That maybe if you can get some kind of training for something that's going to maybe help you when you get out, or go on with some kind of a trade like an accounting school or something like that, management school. Think about that. You know, there's a group of kids. There's a ceremony in May at the old Lane. You know where Lane High School is? Lane High School is where I went to high school. The county office building was my high school. Then they closed that down in 1984, I think it was, and that's when Charlottesville High School started. My younger brother was 10 years younger than me. He was in the last graduating class at Lane High School. But that was our high school. And where the parking lot was our football stadium.
Wow.
My senior year, we were state champions of football from the state of Virginia. And that was a pretty big deal. So when they tore the stadium down, it broke my heart. You know, it's a parking lot now. I left a lot of blood, sweat, and tears on that field, as a lot of us did. But there's a ceremony at Lane High School auditorium. They still call it Lane Auditorium, in the county office building next month. Look right in the paper, it's good stuff. Where there's 100 to 200 kids from all the high schools. We will honor them for going into the service. And these are all great young kids who decided, hey, the service might be a good thing for me, and they're going actually inducted into the service that day. And they take their oath to the United States of America. But it's good patriotic stuff, and you know, we need to get some patriotism back that we've lost. I grew up, my father and uncles were in World War II, so I grew up with that patriotism, John Wayne and Audie Murphy, some of the movies they used to make about World War II and so forth. And that's what I grew up with, so when it came time to serve, there was no doubt that I was going to serve, just when and how. And like I said, a friend of mine got killed, so I said, I've got to serve. I can't stay in school because my head isn't here, it was not there. And so that was my story, but it's good patriotic stuff. If you can attend it, you should try to attend it. A lot of your peers will be, friends will be there probably, even going into service, and you probably know who those people are, you know, in your school. I think it's primarily seniors. So, what else? It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
And if you have any questions about anything in the museum, let me know, and I'll take you in and we'll walk around or whatever.
I was just going to ask one more question.
Sure.
I know that you guys got a lot of hate. Did that rub off on any of your family members?
A lot of hate?
From the hippies.
They had it, you know, I respected them for doing what they were doing.
No, but did it rub off, like,
I think he's trying to ask, like, did your family, did any of your family members feel the same way as some of the...
No, my family was very supportive, fortunately, like I said earlier. I was fortunate to have a good, supportive family and good, supportive friends. And that helped me to get through my PTSD. We all had PTSD at different levels. Well, they didn't know what it was, PTSD back then. You didn't call it PTSD. You just, hey, you're discharged, go back and have a life, they said. Well, I got all these things going on in my head. What do I do with all this stuff that I'm carrying around, this baggage I'm carrying around? You just lived with it. There were no doctors or psychiatrists available like there are now, which is good. you just went back to your life and they left you alone. Nobody was there medically to help you. They didn't realize what we had gone through. But that happened in World War II also, in Korea. Those guys came back and nobody paid any attention to the scars that they were carrying, some of the things that they had witnessed. Just, go back to your life. At least they recognize now that we have some serious young people that have some serious problems that need to be helped. That's hopefully what the DA will continue to do. But I was lucky; my family was very supportive, and I just, like I said, I had 3 part-time jobs, full-time student. I didn't have time to fool with anything other than focus on graduating. I gave myself 2 years to graduate because that's all the money I had. And I was focused on graduating. I graduated in 2 years. The dean of the college I went to, University of Richmond, told me I'd never graduate in 2 years. He told me that. That drove me to graduate in 2 years. I was pissed at him for 20 years. Finally, one day I saw him and I went up to him and said, never told you this, but you were one of the reasons I graduated on time. He said, what do you mean? I said, you don't remember telling me I'd never graduate? Because my grades were so bad the first 2 years because I was partying too much and having too much fun. And I broke up with a girlfriend. Then my friend got killed, and I said, I can't do this. I got to do something. But he thanked me for remembering that and thanked me for thanking him because he'd forgotten that. But if he had, he was the motivation behind me graduating in 2 years. As bad as my grades were, freshman, sophomore, I had C's and D's. My junior and senior, I had all A's and B's. So it's a difference of night and day. Focusing on concentrating on my studies versus partying. Having a good time.
Also, another question: Did any protesters find out about your relation to your family members and then go and harass your family members?
No, because I was in Richmond, and so it was 60 miles away. Yeah. So my family didn't enter into it. And I was on campus. I was off campus. I didn't dwell on campus. I was in a fraternity my first 2 years, and didn't have time for that because all the guys that my class was 68, and when I went back in '69, all my guys were gone. So I graduated in '71, but my fraternity brothers that I went through Hell Week with and so for my first 2 years, they were all graduated. So there was no connection to the fraternity, and I didn't have time for that socialization anyway because I was working so much. So that didn't really enter into it at all. Anything else? All right, well, thank you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for caring enough to come out here and see what we went through and to learn about this. This is a history lesson, and we don't want it to be forgotten, having been a part of it. This is our main goal here, is to provide history and realistic stories about what really happened here to younger people like yourself, so you can tell others about it, maybe about the good parts, the bad parts. There was Henry Kissinger, who was the Secretary of State in 1973. He went to Hanoi and signed the Paris Peace Accord, which you might or might not be aware of. And that was for the United States to stop bombing in the Paris Peace Accord. Well, General, I think I got a picture of him. General Dieppe, who was, I must have left it on. He was in charge of the North Vietnamese. In his memoirs, after he died, he had written a note in his memoirs that if we had stopped doing what we were doing and fought 2 or 3 more days, they were ready to give up. The North Vietnamese. So we actually signed the Paris Peace Accord to stop the bombing, and they appeared to have won the war, where we would have won it hands down. We had their backs up against the wall, and we killed millions of people. They killed hundreds, they killed thousands, and named hundreds of thousands. We killed millions, and they couldn't take it anymore. According to his memoirs, 2 more days, they would have given up. We'd have won hands down. It didn't happen. So it appeared that we lost, which we really didn't lose, but the media lost it for us. The way the media handled it, blaming us for everything. And their media's doing that to this day. They're not showing any of the good stuff we're doing in Afghanistan and Pakistan. They're just showing the negative stuff. So you got to be careful what you watch. Okay.
Thank you so
Glad
much.
to have you guys. They have